Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 234 Ambush. Currently, Xiao Yan's skin was scarlet red. His clothes had already been turned into ashes by the high temperature. Steam was rising from his head. The Xiaoao looked at Xiao Yan in front of him with a funny expression. It lifted its head and looked at the roof. Its eyes were thrown in the direction of the door. Immediately, it laughed. Its body flashed, and it did not make any sound. It opened the door and secretly ran out. It had been staying in Xiao Yan's body for the past few days and had not gone out to take a stroll. It took this opportunity to go out and play. The moment he left the door, the Xiaoao looked at Xiao Yan once again. He hesitated for a moment and flicked his finger. A flame that was different from the two types of monarch flame that Xiao Yan possessed flew out from his finger and landed in the room. After doing all of this, the Xiaoao chuckled and disappeared in a flash. With the strength of a monarch emperor-level Xiaoao, other than Jade Fairy, no one in the entire medicine pavilion could detect his whereabouts. At this moment, Jade Fairy was completely immersed in refining the white yang pill. Naturally, she did not have the time to care about him. The Xiaoao also openly appeared on the second floor. It looked around like a thief and with a sway of its body, it ran outside. Hoo. The origin monarch ki in his body began to boil. The unique meridians that cultivated the white tiger arts were constantly flowing along with the blood essence. A bright red light spread out and covered the entire meridians. Very quickly, Xiao Yan felt that these meridians were filled with energy. With the 3000 lightning monarch flame and the chaos great monarch flame monitoring him, he did not need to worry about any problems occurring within his body. Wang. After a long time, Xiao Yan's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. Two rays of red light flashed within his eyes. At the same time, a torrent of surging sound erupted from within his body, causing the entire quiet room to buzz. It's done. After carefully examining his body, Xiao Yan was instantly delighted. The source blood essence of the poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger had completely disappeared, and it had been completely fused with his meridians. This also meant that the white tiger arts of the four-spirit sovereign technique could finally display its initial power. Before he arrived at the profound Yin castle, Xiao Yan had already familiarized himself with most of the four techniques. Integrating the blood essence of the poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger was the condition to activate the white tiger arts. Of course, as the saying goes, proficiency. He had only learned the first style of the white tiger arts. The white tiger spirit sealing flash was only the power of the elementary monarch spell. In a battle, it wouldn't have much of an effect. The third style, white tiger spiritual spell. It was the genuine monarch arts. If one could master it, Xiao Yan was not afraid of even a monarch emperor warrior. Forget it. I won't be able to master the second style of the white tiger sky-shattering strike in a short period of time. I should learn the heaven's top fist first. The solitary heaven fist is a high-grade monarch arts. When the sky spill fist and the heaven's top fist combine, its power shouldn't be any weaker than a high-grade monarch spell. Xiao Yan pondered for a moment and made up his mind. He adjusted his urgent mood and took out the scroll of the heaven's top fist. Currently, he had mastered too little high-grade monarch skill. He basically relied on monarch flames to fight his enemies. His true strength was still not enough. Wang. The cauldron in front of her trembled. Jade Fairy clenched her teeth and swiftly waved her hand. Dozens of medicinal ingredients had already entered the cauldron. Purple flames boiled and instantly wrapped around it. Under the powerful spiritual strength of the former, they turned into droplets of pure medicinal liquid that fell to the bottom. Jade Fairy held the white jade spirit lotus in her hand. A trace of determination flashed across her pretty eyes. This was the last medicinal ingredient. If the refinement was successful, the white yang pill could basically be considered a success. However, if it was a failure, Jade Fairy shook her head. She inhaled a deep breath of air and lifted her delicate hand gently. Under the control of her soul force, the white jade spirit lotus slowly rose and entered the cauldron. It was instantly swallowed by the purple flame. Pippa. As the main ingredient to refine the white yang pill, the white jade spirit lotus naturally had its special characteristics. Although it was in the shape of a lotus, its exterior was abnormally tough. Even the powerful purple flame that Jade Fairy controlled could only be slowly burned. In half an incense stick of time, only half of it was burned. Jade Fairy's rosy face had also become somewhat pale at this moment. Due to the influence of the poison, her body was already extremely weak. Now that she had been refining the white jade spirit lotus for a long time, her mind was already quite exhausted. Her precise control over the burning of the white jade spirit lotus had already loosened a little. The scene in front of her eyes became increasingly dark. Jade Fairy's eyes were as heavy as iron and stone. She could not help but slowly close them. The tiredness that penetrated deep into her soul was something that even she could not resist. Under such circumstances, the energy contained within the white jade spirit lotus also began to gradually disappear. Buzz. At this critical moment, a spiritual light flashed on Jade Fairy's forehead and a white light flashed. As the light flashed, a faintly discernible song was softly chanted. It was like the chanting of a holy spirit. In an instant, Jade Fairy woke up in a daze. Oh! Jade Fairy woke up, and a complicated expression flashed across her beautiful eyes. She extended her hand and gently touched her forehead. After which, she let out a long sigh and looked at the cauldron in front of her. She calmed her heart and concentrated on controlling it. Now, the most important thing was to refine the white yang pill. Everything else, she would talk about it in the future. In the hall on the second floor, Yun-Er stood uneasily. Her eyes were filled with worry as she looked at the secret chamber where Jade Fairy was. She also knew the importance of the white yang pill to Jade Fairy. She really did not dare to imagine what would happen if the refinement failed. God bless me. Sister must succeed in the refinement. Yun-Er put her palms together and muttered to herself in her heart. Her pretty face was filled with anxiety. Shoo! The moment Yun-Er closed her eyes, a figure covered in black robes suddenly rushed in from the medicinal ingredients hall on the second floor. His figure flashed, and before Yun-Er could react, the black-clothed person had already appeared beside her. With a light hand blade, he easily knocked Yun-Er down. Truly careless. After knocking Yun-Er down, under the face of the black-clothed person, an endless coldness erupted from his eyes. Carefully sensing it, the black-clothed person coldly smiled and rushed towards the secret chamber where Jade Fairy was. Even if he couldn't kill Jade Fairy in an instant, as long as he could stop her from concocting the white yang pill, he would be able to achieve his goal. Without the white yang pill, how could a monarch emperor who could live for 2 months pose any threat to him? In just a few breaths of time, the man in black had already arrived in front of Jade Fairy's secret chamber. He extended both of his palms, which were filled with dense yin qi, and was about to strike. Wah! Suddenly, a crimson gold flame tore through the air and arrived. The moment before the black-clothed person's palms struck the secret chamber, it blocked in front of the latter's palms. The man in black was startled. The yin qi seemed to be especially wary of the monarch flame. He withdrew his hands in time and looked in the direction where the monarch flame had come from with a cold expression. Not far away, a young man in a black shirt had a cold look in his eyes. He looked at Yin Jushuan with an angry expression. His black hair was hanging loosely on his shoulders and the origin monarch qi in his body was boiling. This caused Yin Jushuan to frown slightly. Sure enough, it was this guy. However, compared to before, he could vaguely sense a slight change in Xiao Yan. He's just a puny monarch spirit. No matter how heaven-defying he is, can he still defeat an emperor cultivation? Yin Jushuan was also afraid. Although there was a barrier set up here, if it was discovered by the other experts in the herb hall on the second floor, he would definitely give himself away if he wanted to escape. At that time, his reputation would fall tremendously. Yin Jushuan's body moved and he rushed towards Xiao Yan. Out of consideration, he did not use the powerful great yin spirit arts. If that was the case, the sound produced would be too loud. A cold glint surfaced in Xiao Yan's eyes. Both of his fists were tightly clenched. He looked at the black-clothed person who was rushing over and welcomed him without any fear. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.